Welcome to Sudbury Sports Unbiased, your source for no-spin coverage on the Sudbury Wolves, Sudbury 5, and Sudbury Cyclones with Rick and Craig. Hello, sports fans. Craig here, and today we're going to talk about a trade in the OHL that has some serious ramifications for the Sudbury Wolves. It also impacts the team's team-building strategy for the Wolves moving forward. Today, the Barrie Colts acquired Declan McNally from the Guelph Storm. Declan McNally is a 16-year-old defenseman. He was drafted number 7 overall by the Guelph Storm in the 2026 OHL priority selections. He is 6'4". He has an offensive touch, and by all accounts, he will be an excellent defenseman in the Ontario Hockey League for years to come. This trade makes a lot of sense for the Colts, and it also makes a lot of sense for the Guelph Storm. The Guelph Storm are hosting a Memorial Cup this year, and Declan McNally, as good as he is not what they need. The Guelph Storm need present value assets. Declan McNally is a future value asset, and Guelph was smart to get rid of him. In fact, Declan McNally knew the score right away, and he told the Guelph Storm that he was not going to report. Guelph did the right thing. They obliged the kid, and they sent him to Barrie. Barrie is a rebuilding team. They made the OHL finals, and they're looking to start over. Declan McNally and other assets are good pieces for the Barrie Colts moving forward in 2026-2027. Price that the Colts paid the Storm was extremely steep. The Colts traded their second-round pick in 2028 and a second-round pick in 2030, 2 third-round picks, and a fourth-round pick and a fifth-round pick for Declan McNally. That gives you an idea of the value of this player. So how does this all impact the Sudbury Wolves? Well, everyone around here knows that the Sudbury Wolves are hot on the trail of Tanner Adams, who is currently owned by the Brampton Steelheads. And that may be a great idea. But here is the problem. If Declan McNally can command 6 draft picks on the open market, my question is, how many picks will Tanner Adams command on the open market? Tanner Adams could be declared a defected player. Brampton could trade him. They trade him to the Wolves. I will tell you right now, it will take more than 6 draft picks to get Tanner Adams here to Sudbury. I look at the package as being potentially 8 picks. Let's throw in an additional second-round pick, and let's throw in an additional third-round pick. If you look at the Wolves draft cupboard, it appears to be well-stocked. But be careful, because it's not as well-stocked as you may have thought. The Wolves have a second-round pick in 2027. They have a second-round pick in 2028. They have 2 second-round picks in 2029, and they have 2 second-round picks in 2030. The team has a plethora of third-round draft picks, and that is not a problem. Here is the problem. Let's presume that the Wolves and the Steelheads engage in negotiation, and let's use the McNally trade as a reasonable barometer, understanding that it may take more to get Tanner Adams to Sudbury. So you have 6 second-round picks over 4 years. Tanner Adams will liquidate at least 3 of those picks in the second round. So let's presume you look at the picks that Barrie traded to Guelph, and it was a second-round pick in 2028 and a second-round pick in 2030. The Wolves can do that. They can trade a second-round pick in 2028. They have 2 second-round picks in 2030. No problem. Now here comes the problem. Where does the third second-round pick come from? This is a difficult question. Will the Steelheads accept a second-round pick in 2029? I don't know. That's a long way away, and I suspect that the Steelheads may want immediate help. Here's the problem. If the Wolves decide that Tanner Adams is too valuable to pass up, and they trade their second-round pick in 2027, that leaves the team without second-round picks for the next 2 years. And herein lies the issue. Yes, you have Cash Kouaje, fine. You have Tanner Adams, fine. My question is, what else are you going to build around to build a team? And, people don't think about this. They just say, oh, I want this guy. I want that guy. Team building is complicated. Look at the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers have the two best players in the world, probably. I would say Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Great players, yes. Highly paid, yes. Deserving high pay, absolutely. But here is what Edmonton has been struggling with for a number of years. They have superstars that take up most of their salary cap, and then they are used to going through the dregs, going through the dumpster, and they are signing scrubs to go along with them. The same thing goes with the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs have Austin Matthews. They had Mitch Marner. They had William Nylander. Fine players, yes. Took up a lot of their cap. And here's what happened. They ran into problems. They couldn't complete their roster properly. They were going after scrubs to fill out their roster. Here's the reality of the situation in the NHL, and it also applies in the OHL. What's trying to happen here for the Sudbury Wolves may not be sustainable. Will you have Cash Kawaja, Tanner Adams, and a bunch of scrubs? Because that's what I see happening. If you trade that 2027 second round pick and you trade that 2028 second round pick, who are you going to play with these players? You have no real assets of value. And now we have the problem at the OHL level. The Sudbury Wolves have two great players, but they have scrubs because they have liquidated draft assets to acquire superstars. In hockey, you can't win with two players, no matter how good they are. Recent history has told us that you have to have a well-rounded team and several high-quality players, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, to be a legitimate championship contender. And the Wolves, they don't have that. Now, you say to me, what happened here? Didn't the Wolves have a lot of second-round picks back in the day? And the answer was, yes, they did. But the Sudbury Wolves have no plan, and they squandered their second-round picks. And you say, how did they do that? Well, let's bring back two names from recent past. Henry Hughes, the trade that looked good on the surface, but was horrendous moving forward. The Sudbury Wolves traded two 2027 second-round picks for Henry Hughes. At the same trade deadline, they traded for Noah Van Vliet, and they gave away a 2027 second-round draft pick. So here's the math. The Sudbury Wolves gave away three 2027 second-round draft picks. They also gave away two third-round draft picks. Now, if it's going to take 8 draft picks to acquire Tanner Adams, here's what I'll tell you. I can do math. 5 of the picks that could have acquired Tanner Adams, you had, and you squandered. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, because at the end of the day, the problem that the Sudbury Wolves have is they don't have a deep enough team and a deep enough draft cupboard, in my view, to realistically pull this trade off. Who's to blame? I'll give you the 2 words that every Wolves fan knows. Rob Papineau. Rob Papineau has no plan. Rob Papineau blew the trade deadline in 2025, and we are still feeling the ramifications of that almost 2 years later. You know, Tanner Adams is not some flash in the pan. Tanner Adams has been well known throughout the hockey community. You know, the smart organizations, they see the great players and they plan for the eventuality. Rob Papineau, I think he goes by the seat of his pants. One trade deadline, got to make it work, got to do what I have to do, have to make the owner happy, so he does it. Now he comes to 2027 when he really, really wants to do something, and he probably needs to do something if he wants to retain his job long term. And now he's put himself in a bit of a bind. And you know what? The only person that's to blame for that is Rob Papineau. So that's the situation. The reality here, I don't think that the Sudbury Wolves have the assets to acquire Tanner Adams. Now, I understand you may say, well, Tanner Adams isn't going to report anywhere else, and that might be right. But the fact of the matter is, the tragedy here is that the Sudbury Wolves have let a golden opportunity in the face, and it may slide away because of a lack of planning and a lack of acumen at the front office level. Folks, if you like what you're hearing, hit like and subscribe. And as we say on this channel, let the sports be with you.